Good morning, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Knitting and Grieving podcast. My name is Mira. You have landed on the Dead Knitter Society YouTube channel. This is my little corner of the internet where grief and fiber arts intersect. So I think today we're going to do something a little bit different, literally knitting and grieving at the same time. Because right now all of my making is kind of scattered around, and I think I am kind of feeling a bit of a pull to separate out knitting and grieving podcasts where I really like more talk about grieving while I'm knitting can be separated out from like what my making pursuits necessarily are, because I definitely have heard some feedback and I want to honor that. That some people are just here for the grieving part, and that's cool. I'm glad that you're here, and some people are here more for the making part, and maybe not to listen to me talk about my dead mom. And I want to honor that too. So I will briefly say that I had a little bit of I'm so close to finishing my turnstone tank. And I don't know what I did, but I somehow lost the pattern, and so now I have to frog back like 4 or 5 rows again. And I'll tell you what, in this capitalist hellscape, I don't have the cookies for it. I don't know if you can see the bags under my eyes, y'all, but your girl is in that last push of graduate school, and I don't have it in me to like fight with it today. So I picked up a project that I haven't really worked on, gosh, 4 or 5 months probably. Is my Mabel sweater. I took one of Joji Locatelli, who is the designer that designed the Mabel, and she also designed some of my other very favorite things that I've knit, like my opposite pole cardigan and my Sweet Cables top. She's based out of Buenos Aires, and she does Zoom workshops, usually about monthly. She'll do 2 on a Saturday. They're incredibly reasonably priced, particularly knowing that like my chances of getting to Vogue knitting are low. So it is a really wonderful way to have access to, like, she's such a talented teacher, and the way that she breaks things down is just really phenomenal. So I did a circular yoke sweater design workshop yesterday. That was really delightful, and because I was so frustrated with what I needed to do to rectify that tank, I just switched to this like potato chip pattern. So anyway, I just told you about how I wasn't going to be talking about knitting on the knitting and grieving part, because we're going to talk about grieving. Anyway, I try. They're intertwined. I've been doing a lot of reflecting lately about the shit that I got wrong while my mom was dying. And I know that, we should not be tripping on what is behind us. And I know that in every moment, I did the best that I could. But there are certain moments that I wish that I could get back to redo. Like a lot of them, actually. I was reflecting on how precious we were with her energy, trying to conserve it as if that would somehow lengthen her life. But because of that, I didn't get her to the beach last time, and she wanted to put her toes in the sand, and we didn't get her to the Crane Estate, which was, she loved Bridgerton, and we had a really wonderful offer to like be able to get a private tour of the Crane Estate, which is local to me, which is one of those big Gilded Age mansions, and she would have loved that. And we missed it because we were waiting for situations to change. And certainly doesn't that inform my life now of don't wait, go do the thing, even if it's imperfect and maybe you don't have the energy or whatever, but do the thing. But certainly I think the moment that I struggle the most with was in the week that preceded mom entering hospice care. She had become very anemic because of her blood cancer, and then also because of um, an autoimmune anemia that she developed as a result of the cancer that she had. And at the end, mom experienced some confusion. And while we didn't have an activated proxy, we put everywhere. And the day staff all knew that before really anything happened to call me. And we ended up waiting, I want to say it was 5 days where mom was in the hospital, miserable that she was in the hospital, feeling like she was missing out on everything. And it was not the deal that we had been given. Her doctor had really kind of made it sound like she'd be able to like be in and out to just get a transfusion and then go home, and then we could make our decisions. And 5 days later, they still hadn't found her a match. When they finally did, it was 1 or 2 in the morning. And so not the doctor who was on board with her plan came in. And there was a lot that went wrong with this. Like, I got to talk with risk management. The blood was not handled correctly. It was opened before they had a consent signed, which, if you know anything about medicine or nursing, that's kind of a no-no. And then rather than calling me, when mom got confused about whether or not she could accept negative blood as an Rh positive person, which she can, she refused this blood in the middle of the night in this confusion, and nobody called me. And so she called me first thing in the morning and woke me up, and it had been kind of a sleepless week. And she said, "Oh, well, they brought me the wrong thing." And so I said no, and I completely lost my mind and flipped my lid. And she sounded so proud that she had advocated for herself, but it was to her detriment, because then we waited 3 more days to find another unit because they had spoiled that unit by spiking it. And if I could, I would give so much to go back and not react the way that I did, because it was not her fault. It was not her fault. But human beings are imperfect. And I think, thankfully, at least my mother, and I hope the mother that I am for my children, have endless forgiveness for the bad behavior of their children. It was such an impossible time, because I knew that we were going towards a terminus, but mom really didn't necessarily. She was a brilliant woman, but she wasn't always medically literate. And I think she also really didn't kind of want to face what was happening. So it was just an impossible thing. But I've definitely been... Thank you guys for putting up with me. I have really been just wrestling with it. With, how do I know that she did forgive me? Did she? I don't know. I really hope so. And I hope mostly just to be able to move forward in a more, mindful way. And I think this is where, when we talk about grieving is not linear. What is today? Today is November 23rd. So mom has been gone 3 days shy of 17 months, and I'm still here blubbering on the internet. Because it definitely, I think for me, I don't really I don't know, the whole grieving in waves doesn't really resonate with me as much, but the idea that it's kind of either like a butterfly that kind of lands every so often randomly, or that it's more like a spiral for me. That like, or it's like an orbit. Like sometimes the grief goes far away, and then sometimes it comes closer into like my gravitational field and I'm more aware of it. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just, it never gets easy. It just gets different. I have this poem pulled up. I don't know if you guys have seen Come See Me in the Good Light, which is a documentary about um, really profound and amazing spoken word poet Andrea Gibson, um, who died from ovarian cancer over the summer, and they and their partner, their wife Meg, consented to having filming to make this documentary, and it is really, I mean, grab tissues. it's it is, but it was profoundly human. It was so beautiful. And there's one of Andrea's poems that they share with their voice during the documentary called Love Letter from the Afterlife. And I'm like sad mad that I didn't find their poetry sooner. Um and I'm not quite sure when this particular poem was written, but I think, oh wait, maybe I'm seeing it. So Mom was still alive. I would have given anything to hear this when Mom was still alive so that I could understand. Um, yeah, it's on their Substack, so I will post a link below. But there were just some phrases. The totality of it is breathtaking. But they say dying is the opposite of leaving. When I left my body, I did not go away. That portal of light was not a portal to elsewhere, but a portal to here. I am more here than I ever was before. I am more with you than I ever could have imagined. So close you look past me when wondering where I am. It's okay. I know that to be human is to be farsighted. But feel me now, walking the chambers of your heart, pressing my palms to the soft walls of your living. Why did no one tell us that to die is to be reincarnated in those we love while they are still alive? I mean, so I'm really trying to, and I feel that resonates with me so deeply, because I feel like my understanding of my mother and my acceptance of her deeply within my being is so much greater now that she's gone. But I wish I could have understood that sooner. But I'm also very grateful that I found this now. And isn't that just life? A weird tangle of contradicting emotions that can all be held to be true at the same time. I'm definitely dreading. I am dreading that one of the proudest and happiest days of my life, when my daughter and I are gonna graduate together, Mom won't be there. And that is something, when you lose someone who's so important, whether it's a partner or a parent or a child, that from that moment on, everything is seen through the lens
of their absence. And I do. But their absence right now is what still keeps her so close to me. So, yeah. Ooh, if you have actually sat through and listened to me cry, I'm profoundly grateful for you. I hope maybe if you are also crying or in any part of your grieving, I hope that this was maybe in some way comforting. I will say I went yesterday to um my elementary school gym teacher's memorial. My elementary school gym teacher was a gentleman named James Banks, and he was a legend. He was at the Estabrook School in Lexington for just about 40 years. And he and my mom worked at the same day camp, and they were very, very fond of each other, had tremendous respect for each other. Um, and so I went to his visiting hours yesterday because, I mean, he was a huge part of my childhood, and then also he and mom were so close. And I ran into my fourth grade teacher at this memorial who was just delightful, 87 years old and spry as anything. But Mr. Banks's kids, his children, remembered mom, and his two daughters actually they all had been at the camp, but his two daughters in particular remembered that, you know, one of them babysat me one night, which was pretty wild. Um, but really just spoke very lovingly of mom and her relationship with their dad, and that felt special. That felt really special, and I think that one of the things that has made grieving a little bit more tolerable for me has been the connections that it can make. Um, Even if though that will be fleeting, um, just sitting with people in grief is such a comfort. And the people who were willing to sit with me and then being able to sit with others, I I think it's something that you don't understand as part of the human experience until you arrive in it. So with that, I'm going to ask you to in all things be so human. I'm curious if there are things in your grieving, if there are things you could go back and get a redo for. Is it just me? um and what were the ways where people sat with you that were the most meaningful? Just hearing, "Oh, I loved your mom," was that was profound. And knowing that our holiday season in the US is about to really go into full gear, I'm sitting with you because the holidays they're different and not easier as the years go by. So, with so much love in my heart, thank you for sitting with me today. Again, I'm going to link Andrea Gibson's Substack below. But if you have a couple hours, I would watch that documentary. It is profoundly beautiful. And in all things, go forward with love. I will see you next episode.